The Haunting of Hollow Ridge. Episode 7, Descent into Darkness. The glowing path stretched before them, winding through the otherworldly landscape like a river of light. Nina led the way, her heart pounding with both fear and determination. The others followed closely, their faces pale but resolute. As they walked, the air around them grew colder, and the whispers of the house seemed to intensify. The once clear light began to flicker, casting strange, distorted shadows along the path. Each step felt heavier, as though the house itself was trying to drag them back into its depths. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shifted, and the group was thrown off balance. The light flickered violently and then went out, plunging them into darkness. Panic surged through Nina as she fumbled for her flashlight, but when she clicked it on, the beam barely pierced the suffocating gloom. "I can't see anything," Jack muttered, his voice strained with fear. "We have to keep moving," Nina said, her voice trembling. "The house is trying to stop us, but we can't let it." Daniel stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he squinted into the darkness. "There," he whispered, pointing to a faint glow in the distance. "That must be the way." They pressed forward, moving cautiously through the thick darkness. Every now and then, the shadows seemed to shift and writhe, as if something was lurking just beyond their sight. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, like a chorus of voices clawing at their minds. After what felt like an eternity, the faint glow grew brighter, and they found themselves standing before a massive door, its surface engraved with strange, ancient symbols. The air was thick with power, and Nina could feel the energy radiating from it like heat from a fire. "This is it," Daniel said, his voice low. "The heart of the house." Nina reached out to touch the door, but the moment her fingers brushed against it, a searing pain shot up her arm. She jerked back with a gasp, clutching her hand in agony. "What the hell?" "It's a barrier," Tom said, stepping forward. "Something's guarding it." Just then, a low rumble filled the air, and the ground beneath them began to tremble. The door slowly creaked open, revealing a dark, spiraling staircase descending into the depths of the house. From within, a cold wind blew, carrying with it the scent of decay. "Grace is down there," Nina whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. She could feel it, a tug in her gut that told her their friend was waiting for them below. Without hesitation, she stepped onto the first stair. The others followed, their footsteps echoing in the vast, dark void. As they descended, the temperature dropped further, and the walls around them seemed to pulse with a life of their own. The staircase seemed endless, spiraling deeper and deeper into the earth. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, until Nina could make out individual voices. They were calling her name, pleading with her to turn back, warning her of the horrors that awaited them below. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the bottom. The staircase opened into a vast underground chamber, its walls lined with more of the strange symbols they had seen before. In the center of the room was a stone altar, and lying on it was Grace. She looked pale and lifeless, her body limp and unmoving. "Grace!" Nina screamed, rushing to her friend's side. She shook her gently, her hands trembling with fear. "Grace, wake up!" But there was no response. Tom knelt beside her, his face grim. "She's not dead, but she's not here either." Nina's heart sank. "What do you mean?" "She's trapped," Daniel said, his voice tight with emotion. "The house has her soul. It's feeding off of her fear, just like it tried to do with us." Nina's mind raced. "How do we get her back?" Before anyone could answer, the room began to shake violently. The shadows on the walls writhed and twisted, and a deep, guttural growl filled the air. From the darkness emerged a figure, a towering, monstrous shape, its body made of shifting shadows and glowing red eyes. The creature let out a bone-chilling roar, its voice filled with malice. "You cannot take her," it bellowed. "She belongs to the house now." Daniel grabbed Nina's arm, pulling her back. "We have to fight it." Nina looked around, panic rising in her chest. "How? It's not even human." The creature lunged at them, its massive form blotting out the light. Jack dove out of the way just in time, but the force of the attack sent him sprawling across the floor. Tom grabbed a broken piece of stone from the ground and hurled it at the creature, but it passed through the shadowy form like smoke. What the hell is this thing? Nina's mind raced as she searched for something, anything, that could help them. Her eyes landed on the strange symbols carved into the walls. They were glowing faintly, pulsing in time with the creature's movements. "That's it," she shouted. "The symbols. They're connected to the house." Daniel nodded, his eyes lighting up with understanding. "If we destroy them, we weaken the house's hold." Without wasting a second, the group sprang into action. Nina and Daniel grabbed whatever they could find, rocks, debris, anything heavy, and began smashing the glowing symbols. Each time a symbol was destroyed, the creature let out a howl of pain, its form flickering and shrinking. But the house fought back. The ground shook, and the walls began to close in around them. The creature lashed out in fury, its shadowy limbs striking with deadly force. Jack narrowly avoided being crushed, while Tom struggled to stay on his feet. "We're running out of time," Nina shouted, smashing the last symbol on the wall. The creature let out a final, ear-piercing screech, before collapsing into a swirling mass of shadows, dissolving into the air. The room fell silent. For a moment, none of them moved, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Then, slowly, Grace stirred on the altar. Her eyes fluttered open, and she let out a weak, shuddering breath. "Grace!" Nina rushed to her side, tears streaming down her face. "You're okay." Grace blinked, her eyes dazed and unfocused. "What happened?" "You're safe now," Daniel said softly, kneeling beside her. "We're all safe." But as the group embraced, relief washing over them, Nina couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. The house was quiet now, too quiet, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for something. And then, from the far corner of the room, came a soft, sinister laugh. Nina's blood ran cold. The battle wasn't over yet. End of episode 7.